episode 12. It's your boy Icon, and this episode is entitled Blind Spots. But I would have been fine if they would have called the episode Guardian, or they could have called the episode Super White Privilege, because this one was a doozy and probably the best superhero show of the week by far. But this episode starts not with Supergirl, but with Kelly Olsen. And it actually does take us back to last week's episode where Mixley had used her fifth dimensional power to destroy the building that was being built for affordable housing. And, all the people that were supposed to go in there, they ended up getting hurt because even the councilwoman, because remember the councilwoman, she was against the affordable housing, but then like the board of directors or whoever, they voted against it and they decided to keep the affordable housing. Well, Mixley destroyed the building. So I know the councilwoman was happy about that. And after the building got destroyed, Kelly was actually in the vicinity, which is something we didn't see in the last episode, because they show us what happened from a Supergirl standpoint, how Supergirl fought Mixley and everything Supergirl did to try to get Mixley, and try to when she called Mixix Pitalik and did the whole thing there. But while all that was going on, Kelly was actually fighting the good fight in the hood, because when that affordable housing building collapsed, there were a lot of people that were still living in that building, underprivileged people who couldn't afford, big houses or like penthouses, whatever, like people who actually needed the affordable housing, like black and brown kids, they're out there suffering. And when that fifth dimensional bomb or that energy bomb went off, everyone in the neighborhood was actually affected by it. And they all had the fifth dimensional energy running in them, and it was making everybody feel sick. Now, the congresswoman was one of them because she was actually there when the building exploded. But since she's a congresswoman and she's just not some regular, ghetto trash, she ended up going to like a special physician where she got special treatment. Now, the injection that was given to her was supposed to basically heal her wounds, from everything. Meanwhile, there's kids over there that's kids were saying they couldn't breathe. Kids had debris and dust and everything in their lungs and in their system. Kids were dying, people were dying. But this woman, because she's rich, she had access to special treatment. So the special treatment that she got, the injection that she took to heal herself, it actually mixed weirdly with the fifth dimensional energy that was coursing through everyone's veins, and it gave her the ability, because again, that injection she took was supposed to heal her. What it ended up doing was it gave her the ability to, it actually gave her fifth dimensional energy, to be honest with you, but it also gave her the ability to siphon energy from other people, more specifically the people that was affected by the building collapsing. So Kelly goes down there, she tries to help everybody, she tries to help the kids, she brings, she like the same little boy that was in the same little boy that was in the foster home, who had the thing with the brother, him and his brother, the kid got sick, Kelly brought him to the hospital, she helped him out, the brother showed up, to be there for his little brother. And then Kelly was there trying to get all the people medical attention. She actually tried calling the super friends. She tried calling Cara, tried calling Alex, but they were all too busy, because they were too busy trying to catch Mixie Pitalik or whatever. They were too busy trying to catch Mixley. They didn't have time to help the poor folk in the hood. And Kelly was struggling doing it all by herself, and she couldn't do it by herself. So then she got upset, because I said nobody was helping her, and then nobody would listen to her. So she called James. And it's very sad that even in the final season, we couldn't get a cameo, even if it was a scene with James just randomly somewhere else, just talking to her on the phone, or if he just did a voiceover. It just would have been nice to see or hear him, but we didn't get that. But we did get Kelly. We did get the reference, because Kelly did call him, and she told him, she said that because she's down there in the ghetto, fighting the good fight by herself, she said that she doesn't understand how James did it for so long, because in season 2, when James became Guardian, the whole point of him becoming Guardian was to help the quote unquote the little people, was to help the people that don't get saved by Supergirl or by Superman, because they don't live, because they don't operate above the clouds, like everybody in the hood. So, and she was just she's just Kelly's whole thing was, I don't know how you did it as Guardian, because I just started this fight today. And she was like, I'm tired. Lord, I was tired, but then she tried to go back to the Super Friends, and then, everybody was just oh, don't worry. And it was funny, because every time Kelly tried to talk to them about the inner city people, about the people in the ghetto, about the people, the affordable housing people, every time she brought them up, Supergirl's answer was don't worry, we'll catch Mixley. And, Kelly's yo, I'm not even talking about Mixley. I'm just yo, there are kids down there that are suffering. There are kids down there that are dying. But they're just oh, don't worry, we'll get Mixley, and then we'll fix everything right away. And then, then they left. So she got mad. She went home. Now, here's where it got interesting. While she was home, she got a knock at the door, And I don't know who she thought it was, but, when she answered the door, it ended up being John Diggle. And at that moment, because like I said before, he was on Batwoman. He helped Luke Fox on Batwoman. He helped Spooner and Astro on Legends of Tomorrow. He helped on Superman. He helped John Henry Irons, like Diggle's basically like doing, Barry helped him on The Flash, but Diggle put a lot of people on the path. He helped Chester. He talked to Chester when he was on The Flash. So Diggle made the CW rounds, and he inspired the new generation of minority heroes, and that was some cool shit to see. And he also directed all the episodes as well, so that was nice also. So John Diggle, John Diggle back in the house, and now he's here to help Kelly. And Diggle be name dropping too, because when he spoke to Kelly was like, "Oh, I didn't know that my brother even knew John Diggle." And I'm like, first of all, you know John Diggle, because she knew who he was when she answered the door. She was like, "Oh my God, John Diggle from Star City." But I guess everybody knows that he was Spartan. So, but she didn't know that her brother knew him. And then he was just like, yeah, he said that me and James, we bonded. Because obviously they had to have conversation at some point, but he was like, we bonded, and shared our experiences over having super powered friends. He name dropped Oliver Queen, or whatever. And he basically talked to her and he tried to inspire her, to pick up the sword and fight the good fight. So Diggle and Kelly together, Kelly, who wrote this episode, the actress who plays Kelly Olsen, she wrote this episode too. So she wrote it, Diggle directed it, which is why it was an awesome episode. So then the two of them go down together and they start doing some investigating, and they go underground. They see all the fifth dimensional energy underground, Kara and the gang. They show up. They're just like, oh my God, Kelly and Dig. She was shocked when she saw Diggle, and she was just like, oh, don't worry, we'll try to we'll take care of it. We'll get rid of all the fifth dimensional energy. And then they were like, hopefully that'll help the people as well. But that wasn't really an answer. It was just we'll stop Mixley and then hopefully that will fix. But then Kelly was like, but what if it doesn't? You know what I'm saying? She tried to talk to Kara blew her off. She tried to talk to Alex blew her off. And then it's now she's kind of getting frustrated. And then she told them, she said, listen, she's like, these people need your help. We all need your help. And then Kara was like, don't worry, we'll be here if things get rough. The congresswoman, who now has the ability to siphon power from other people, she was doing some corrupt stuff, because she was just now that the building's been destroyed, we can put up 5 tech companies. And she was bribing other people, she was creating money out of nowhere. She was making sandwiches, and she didn't care that her actions were actually destroying people and her actions were hurting people. So then she goes outside the hospital and has the audacity to have a press conference. I couldn't even believe she said this, because she was talking about, she was like, oh, yes, I was there when the building collapsed. I went to the hospital, but as you can see, I'm right back here ready to fight the good fight. And then a reporter had said to her, she was just like, oh, now that you're perfectly fine, what about all the people that are still in the hospital? And she was just like, well, they're going to have to pull themselves up like I did. And I was like, bitch, what? And then the older brother, he came outside and he was like, first of all, he's like, we don't have, he said, I saw you yesterday. Your arm was battered. You were bruised and beaten up. He was like, yo, you got access to miracle drugs. Meanwhile, we're up here suffering. We're up here dying or whatever. And she's like, I don't take questions from the random public, and then after that, then she tried to stick the goons on the black dude. She told her goons to beat up the black dude. And then after that, right before the goons beat up the black dude, then Kelly showed up because she had the Guardian shield and she had the Guardian helmet on. So Diggle was by her side. So it was cool to see Kelly and Diggle work together. They chased down the politician woman. Diggle beat up the goons. Kelly fought the politician woman one-on-one, and then she saw that she actually did have power, because earlier Dreamer had given her a device that detects fifth dimensional energy. And when Kelly saw that the fifth dimensional energy was around the congresswoman, she knew that's where the problem was. Kelly fought the congresswoman. She didn't get her ass beat, but she didn't win that fight either. And then the congresswoman kind of disappeared on her, and then Kelly was just left standing. So then, then after that, Supergirl and the gang, here's where it got good. Supergirl and the gang, they were all, talking about how they can stop Mixley. What are they going to do to stop Mixley? And then Kelly showed up. And then when Kelly walked in the room and everybody turned around, she was just like, where were you? And as soon as she said that, I was like, oh shit. The moment Kelly was like, where were you all? I was like, cue the gif of Michael Jackson in the Thriller video eating the popcorn. And then she, for lack of a better term, Kelly basically let them have it, because she was like, look, she was just like, look, she was like, I understand that you all have the luxury of being able to fight the good fight tomorrow and to be able to help people tomorrow. There are people who are suffering today, and no one is paying attention to the people who are suffering today. None of you care about the people who are suffering today. You're just worried about, you're just like focused on one thing. You're fixated on one thing. And then, Kara was like, oh, but I'm trying to stop Mixley. She's like, I'm here to stop Mixley. Kelly was just like, yeah. She said, yeah, you're here to stop Mixley. You're going to stop Mixley. But Mixley's nowhere to be seen. Stopping Mixley is a problem for tomorrow. There are kids that are suffering and dying today. And she said, I fought the Congresswoman. The Congresswoman has fifth dimensional energy. A lot of people got hurt. A lot of people could have got hurt. And none of you were here because she was like, yo, I feel like y'all don't care. And then she got mad. She stormed out. Diggle went and had a conversation with her. Like, he talked to her. And Diggle told her, he was like, yo, put the helmet on, go out there and kick some ass. And then Kara showed up. And then she was just like, oh. And she was just like, oh, like, I'm sorry. She's like, she's like, I do care about the people. And then Kelly was just like, first of all, she was like, first of all, she's like, not only do you have white privilege, you have super white privilege to the point where you don't you don't have to worry about this, because she was just like, yes, you do fight aliens, and that's a good thing because you need to protect the city and the world from alien threats and from bigger threats. But at the same time, it's like, even when you're not fighting aliens, you still ignore the poor people. Like, you still ignore, and she told us, she said, it's not that you purposely do it, because that's the thing. Instead of Kara listening to her and trying to understand, Kara tried to defend herself, and Kara was just like, oh, what about in I believe it was season 4. She was like, what about in season 4 when I marched with the aliens and I tried to, and I tried to stop, the alien terrorist group. I tried to stop Agent Liberty from killing aliens. But she was like, but the only reason why you cared about that was because the alien problem was something that was personal to you. The whole thing about the ghetto, the inner city, the black and brown kids, like the poverty line, like people being held down by the government that's supposed to support them. She was like, that's not your struggle. And she's like, I know you care, but people tend to not pay attention to struggles that don't involve them directly. So, and then, like I said, like Kelly let her have it. Kelly basically let her have it to the point where Supergirl ain't had nothing to say. And, that was pretty dope. So then after that, then, she was just like, oh, she was like, I feel so guilty. But she was just like, yeah, but she's like, guilt don't mean nothing if you're going to put no action behind it. So she told her, she was just like, yo, just be better. She said, be aware of what's going on, and let's actually do the important thing and help the people that really matters. Alex felt bad because Alex was like, yo, we're supposed to be together. We're girlfriend. She's like, we're girlfriend and girlfriend. And I have no idea, how to help her or what she's feeling. And then John was like, you ain't going to know how she's feeling. And you probably are never going to know how she's feeling. And that was funny too, because when Kelly was addressing everyone as a group, Diggle took 3 steps back. And then like when she was just like, oh, you all don't see me. You don't see what's going on. John looked at them like, yeah, y'all don't see what's going on. And John was a part of that group. But even John, he said to Alex, he was just like, when he came to Earth, he chose to wear the face of a black man. He chose to be a black man. And he even said, by him choosing to be a black man and wear the face of a black man, he said being a black man is when he feels alien on this planet. He was like, I'm actually an alien, but I only feel like an alien when I'm wearing black skin, because, that's when I don't feel like I completely belong here. And he said being black is as close to being an alien as, as you can get. So he was like, but then he said, I do understand the struggle that Kelly and James goes through, but although I do understand their struggle, Kelly and James don't have the luxury of being able to shapeshift into anybody that they want. And that's what we have to remember when we fight this fight going forward. And of course, Alice felt bad because it's like, yo, she white. So it's like, it's just like, this isn't like Alex's whole thing was she was trying to fix it. And it was just like, this isn't the moment for you to fix anything. This is the moment for you to listen to the struggle that's coming from across the table and try your best to understand where they're coming from. Because if you don't truly understand it, you're not going to know how to help or contribute to helping going forward. And then Kelly went to Brainy, and, she flat out asked Brainy, and she was like, yo, in the 31st century, does this shit get better? And then he was just like, no. He said that there are some progressions. And it's funny because regarding like the future, I think she's the first person who ever asked Brady about something regarding the future. But, he was just like, there is progression, but he was just like, there are still scars that, that it still takes time to heal, and there's still a lot of work to do. But then, she was just like, well, speaking of work, she was just like, I got some issues with the helmet because the thing is, the helmet was designed for James, and her and James don't have the same head. So she was just like, like the eyes on the helmet. She's like, the visual, there's a problem. There's like a weight issue. This, that, and the third. So, and then that Brady was like, I've been waiting for this moment for years to come. And then he basically like hooked her up, and he put like the new outfit. He put the new outfit together, put the new costume together. So she puts the costume on. They end up going after the politician, Team Supergirl, along with the new Guardian. They show up, and they came up with a way to siphon the energy out of her and focus it back into the people who need it. Supergirl fought the politician. She beat her up. Kelly got the device ready. She convinced all the people to come outside. They siphoned the power from the politician. They put it back into the people. They knocked out the politician, and then they saved the day. Bob's your uncle. And then, after that, then Kelly had told the older brother that maybe he should run for Congress or run for that Congresswoman's seat, because at least he's somebody that actually is a champion for the people. Then after that, like Supergirl and everybody, like they made sure the kids were okay so they don't get cursed out by Kelly, and then they dipped. And then after they dipped, they had a really cool scene where like there were like little black girls on the side. They were just like, oh, I can be Guardian, I could be Guardian. And then, Kelly got all like teary-eyed. She was back at the tower. Her and John had another conversation. Her and Dig had another conversation. And then that's when Dig name dropped Black Lightning, because he was like, oh, Jefferson Pierce, like he said, don't be a champion. What did he say? Don't be a champion for the people, be a champion with the people, or by the people or for the people, something like that. And then but as I said, Diggle was name dropping everybody. And there was even a moment where Diggle was talking to Kelly, when he was talking to Kelly about becoming a hero. He actually said the words, he said that I had a chance to become a different type of superhero, and I chose not to because it meant me leaving my family and everybody I love behind, which says to me, he already took the ring out of the box. He had a conversation with the Guardians. Hell, Diggle probably went to Oa and chose not to put the ring on. And I feel like because he turned it down, because the ring obviously, because the ring was talking to him on the Flash, and the ring was talking to him on Batwoman and the Flash. So because the ring was talking to him, the ring probably was like, John Diggle, take the ring and then become the Green Lantern of Sector 2185 or whatever. And then when he realized that meant him leaving his family, he was just like, nah, I'm not gonna do that. And he took the ring and he put the ring back in the box. But the ring was just like, nah, bro, you ain't gonna get rid of me that easily. So now like the ring is just like messing with him, because he almost died on the Flash because the ring was talking to him and he couldn't figure out how to break the connection. And then but then he, like I said, but he said he didn't want to do it because he didn't want to leave his family, which means he's already had the conversation with the ring. But now he's at the point where, because when he left, after him and Kelly had their conversation and he dipped, Brainy was just like, oh, you're leaving so soon. And then he was just like, yeah, he was like, I got worlds to see, or like I got other world problems or something. He made a comment that had something to do with worlds. And, then Brainy smiled because Brainy knows he becomes the Green Lantern. So obviously at some point, I feel like this season, because it's coming up in like October, when the Flash starts and the Flash does their 5-episode crossover, Diggle is going to be forced to put the ring. There's going to be a moment where everyone's life is going to be at stake, and the only way for people's lives to not be at stake is for Diggle to put the ring on, and he's going to be forced to put the ring on in order to save people. And it might even be his own family, because he brought up his family. He said that he doesn't want to leave his family. His family being in danger is probably what's going to force him to put the ring on to begin with. So we'll see what happens with that. I said, but we're on the road here. We're on the road. We're like, I've been pushing this Green Lantern thing for a long time now, so I need the payoff. Like I need to see Dig with the costume, and you got the Green Lantern on Stargirl. Like you can have it, you can have it on the Flash. I guess it's going to be on the Flash. You could have it on the Flash. Damn it, we need John Diggle Green Lantern on every Arrowverse show next season. Then Kelly went back home. She put the hair wrap on. Alex came home to kiss the ring, and then the two of them had a nice conversation. And then Alex was just like, Alex did the right thing. Alex was like, yo, I don't know shit. I don't know what to do. I can't help you. Please tell me how I can support you going forward. And then she was like, yo, just be there for me. Listen to me when I talk. She was like, and for now, she was like, yo, just hold me and just be present. And that was nice to see. That was very cute for the two of them. And we'll see what happens going forward, because now she's full blown Guardian. She got the costume on. She got the, the fresh colors and everything. So and again, it's a shame we got her now that the show's almost over, but because she also wrote the episode, I hope that means we'll get her to write other episodes for other Arrowverse shows, and that Guardian makes an appearance, hopefully on Batwoman going forward. Lena Luthor lit a match to make fire, and then that old woman mailed her the Book of Magical Spells, so that's going to be a thing going forward. And Mixley is searching for the totems, and she can go after the totems next week. So that was it. Thank you for tuning in. Very, very powerful episode. I love this episode, and it's crazy how we get an episode that has John Diggle in it, and Kelly Olsen ended up being like the star of the show. I thought this was the best superhero TV show I saw this week, with Titans coming in second. And I'm very extremely I swear Kelly Olsen better end up on somebody's show next season after Supergirl concludes. So that was it. And like I said, leave your thoughts down below. Let me know what you think about Kelly in the Guardian suit. Let me know what you thought about the episode, about the message, like her putting everybody in check, and where we go going forward. What happens with John Diggle now that he's made his final appearance this season in the Arrowverse? Do we get the Green Lantern in the Flash crossover, or do we not? Hit me up on Twitter. Hit me up on Instagram as always. Like I said, hit me up on YouTube as well, and we'll continue to talk about all the superhero greatness. So thanks you for tuning in, guys. And for the Guardian, the new Guardian 2.0, take care. And next week, until next time, I'm out this bitch.